And it's just been amazing that we got to this point. I'm like, oh my God, 10 years?
13 years ago, 12 years ago, I moved here from the UK and moved to a sleepy town called Oakville. And sitting in the town square one night, around 9:30 at night, realizing that it was very quiet.
You know, going back to the earliest days, when Judah Hernandez and I were sitting at a soccer game, I just finished my master's in cinema and media studies. And I was talking to Judah and I said, I've always wanted to start a film festival, and I went back to do my master's so I could do that. And he just looked at me and said, oh my God, I want to do that too.
She couldn't believe her ears because she was just thinking the same thing. Two very different people from two very different worlds connected like magnets.
We just did it. It's part of that entrepreneurial spirit to doing something like this, but it also goes back to just a love of film.
Film for me is a way to take an idea and turn it into something tangible. It's the way that we connect with other human beings.
For a not-for-profit, you have to be invested in what you're doing. And I think this festival is so much about the community. It's so much about the people that are on the board. It's so much about the volunteers. And we couldn't do the festival without all that sweat equity.
Let me tell you, those early days were fun, but chaos. It was just trying to figure out how this could work. But in order to do that, you need money, you need support, you need funding.
There's two sponsors that come to mind. The first one is Christopher and Vidyata, who back in the earliest years of the festival, very first year, came on board as our only sponsor and believed in the event and the potential, of the festival and the community. The second sponsor who's so integral to the festival is Peter Wilson. Peter Wilson came on board as a title sponsor. It was Peter Wilson's participation as a sponsor that helped us to build the festival to what it is today.
I can't say enough about the community support. There were so many local sponsors, small level sponsors, in-kind sponsors, people who volunteered just to bring this thing to life that I cannot say enough about. My vision was always to bring people together, not just for the Oakville community, but bring people from everywhere else to the Oakville community. It is a beautiful place. It is charming, it's warm, and it's unique. And film was the vehicle to allow that to happen.
Film happens in theaters, and theaters to me are where film should be watched. In theaters with an audience, because it's that communal experience, to me, that's so important about film.
I hope that we continue to bring people together, open their world, and allow them to see the magic of cinema.
OFFA is celebrating 10 years, and it kind of crept up on me, to be honest, because it's gone really fast. And it's just been amazing that we got to this point. I'm like, oh my God, 10 years?
Years ago, 12 years ago, I moved here from the UK and moved to a sleepy town called Oakville. And sitting in the town square one night, around 9:30 at night, realizing that it was very quiet.
You know, going back to the earliest days, When Judah Hernandez and I were sitting at a soccer game, I just finished my master's in cinema and media studies. And I was talking to Judah and I said, I've always wanted to start a film festival, and I went back to do my master's so I could do that. And he just looked at me and said, oh my God, I want to do that too.
She couldn't believe her ears because she was just thinking the same thing. Two very different people from two very different worlds connected like magnets.
We just did it. It's part of that entrepreneurial spirit to doing something like this, but it also goes back to just a love of film.
Film for me is a way to take an idea and turn it into something tangible. It's the way that we connect with other human beings.
For a not-for-profit, you have to be invested in what you're doing. And I think this festival is so much about the community. It's so much about the people that are on the board. It's so much about the volunteers. And we couldn't do the festival without all that sweat equity.
Let me tell you, those early days were fun, but chaos. It was just trying to figure out how this could work. But in order to do that, you need money, you need support, you need funding.
There's two sponsors that come to mind. The first one is Christopher and Vidyata, who back in the earliest years of the festival, very first year, came on board as our only sponsor and believed in the event and the potential, of the festival and the community. The second sponsor who's so integral to the festival is Peter Wilson. Peter Wilson came on board as a title sponsor. It was Peter Wilson's participation as a sponsor that helped us to build the festival to what it is today.
I can't say enough about the community support. There were so many local sponsors, small level sponsors, in-kind sponsors, people who volunteered just to bring this thing to life that I cannot say enough about. My vision was always to bring people together, not just for the Oakville community, but bring people from everywhere else to the Oakville community. It is a beautiful place. It is charming, it's warm, and it's unique. And film was the vehicle to allow that to happen.
Film happens in theaters, and theaters to me are where film should be watched. In theaters with an audience, because it's that communal experience, to me, that's so important about film.
I hope that we continue to bring people together, open their world, and allow them to see the magic of cinema.
OFFA is celebrating 10 years, and it kind of crept up on me, to be honest, because it's gone really fast. And it's just been amazing that we got to this point. I'm like, oh my God, 10 years?
$13 years ago, 12 years ago, I moved here from the UK and moved to a sleepy town called Oakville. And sitting in the town square one night, around 9:30 at night, realizing that it was very quiet.
Going back to the earliest days, when Judah Hernandez and I were sitting at a soccer game, I just finished my master's in cinema and media studies. And I was talking to Judah and I said, I've always wanted to start a film festival, and I went back to do my master's so I could do that. And he just looked at me and said, oh my God, I want to do that too.
She couldn't believe her ears because she was just thinking the same thing. Two very different people from two very different worlds connected like magnets.
We just did it. It's part of that entrepreneurial spirit to doing something like this, but it also goes back to just a love of film.
Film for me is a way to take an idea and turn it into something tangible. It's the way that we connect with other human beings.
For a not-for-profit, you have
Grandmother Renee, Jody, Oliver, Jackie, and Gail Whitlow. We have wonderful elders that help us and guide us, and we're very honored to be here.
But in order to do that, you need money.
And we're going to sing the Eagle song. So please, no pictures or videos. If you want to take a picture when we're done the song, it's okay. Thank you.
Back in the earliest years of the festival, very first year, came on board as
Jody said it's okay.
only
I think it's
sponsor.
okay.
And believed in the event and the potential, of the festival and the community. The second sponsor who's so integral to the festival is Peter Wilson. Peter Wilson came on board as a title sponsor. It was Peter Wilson's participation as a sponsor that helped us to build the festival to what it is today.
I can't say enough about the community support. There were so many local sponsors, small-level sponsors, in-kind sponsors, people who volunteered just to bring this thing to life that I cannot say enough about. My vision was always to bring people together, not just for the Oakville community, but bring people from everywhere else to the Oakville community. It is a beautiful place. It is charming, it's warm, and it's unique. And film was the vehicle to allow that to happen.
Film happens in theaters, and theaters to me are where film should be watched. In theaters with an audience, because it's that communal experience. To me, that's so important about film.
I hope that we continue to bring people together, open their world, and allow them to see the magic of cinema.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your night.
Yawa. So we have another community member that's joining us tonight, the Honorable Anita Anand, Member of Parliament. She lives in Oakville, and just so grateful. She just keeps showing up. She keeps showing up, and it's really important to us. And Effie, thank you so much for coming as well. Do you want to say a few words? We slotted some time for you.
Well, hi, everybody. It's a really important night tonight. We're opening the OFFA, the Oakville Film Festival, the 10th anniversary, and it's also National Indigenous Persons Day. And just hearing that song and actually hearing from Renee, the elder, on behalf of the grandmothers, was very, very meaningful. So I just wanted to take a moment and say a word about each of these two important things. First of all, National Indigenous Peoples Day. Well, I'm just so happy that we actually have a day where we are stopping and taking a moment and celebrating all of the beautiful values that we just heard Renee discuss with us. And if there's one thing we will remember from your words, Renee, it is love conquers all and gratitude at the same time. And thank you so much for sharing that meaningful message and all the work that the grandmothers do. I can't be more grateful to you for your work here in Oakville. And I will now move to the other important event today that we're celebrating, and that's the 10th anniversary and the opening of the Oakville Film Festival. So one of the things that I find really amazing about being the Member of Parliament is that you get to meet so many incredible people and you get to be at events that are meaningful to the community and celebrate artists and screenwriters and filmmakers and all of the people who are involved in making independent films. And I can see Effie Triantafilopoulos nodding as our MPP of Oakville North Burlington, because I think you probably agree that this is one of the things we feel fortunate to do. Effie, why don't you come up here? And I just wanted to take my hat off to all of the organizers of the Oakville Film Festival and all of you for showing up to celebrate this very important moment. So we've got National Indigenous Peoples Day and the opening of the Oakville Film Festival, and I think we should give it up for all of the people organizing this celebration. Thank you so, so much. Thanks for all you do for Oakville. Thank you.
If you want. Yeah, well, when did you want to come and introduce? I think you were later in the program, but you can stay. You can. No, hey. Do you want to introduce her?
Should we do the dance?
No, because we're going to do the dance after, right? But she can come and talk if she feels like she's ready now.
Yeah. No, we'll do it after.
Okay.
Oh, there is my partner in crime.
Everyone's emotional.
I am feeling very emotional. That was.
Oh, love you, buddy. Amazing work, you guys do.
Thank you. There's one thing that keeps sticking with me, and that is the idea of remaining humble and just living, with what you have and not expecting too much from life. And that just resonates so much with me. Sorry. I just think we should all learn from this day and from the Indigenous peoples. And we should learn to appreciate Indigenous peoples. And every time we get a chance to do a celebration like this, we should take part in it. And it's really very important for all of us. Thank you. Now we do also really have to thank Effie dearly from the bottom of our hearts for helping us with this film festival, and the Trillium Foundation with the receipt of a Community Resiliency Fund grant. We have been able to live stream. Look around you. You see all the live streaming, all this amazing stuff, which is making stuff available for people who can't come out to see us. It's making, festivities. It's making films. It's making Q&As available to people that maybe for whatever reason don't want to leave their houses to come here. or people from across Canada. So one of the great things about our festival over COVID, I mean, COVID had a lot of bad things, we know that, but one of the really great things was picking up an audience of people from across Canada and around the world. And you will see tonight there's filmmakers here from all over the world, from provinces across Canada. We've got the Bee Hive team with us tonight with the Canadian premiere of the Bee Hive. We've got a filmmaker from Holland from here. We've got filmmakers from all over. And then we have people that can't come here. And so this live streaming, which the Trillium Resiliency Grant was able to provide us, has allowed people to be able to watch the events. So I'd like to invite Effie up and Shane.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
a few words.
I basically have one thing to say, and I just spent 2 hours rehearsing this, so I get to introduce Effie Trianta. I had it right earlier, so Triantafilopoulos. I said it like 100 times right. Everybody, thank you all so much for coming. You know, quick round of applause for everybody who put out their displays, because this is pretty awesome that everybody showed up to support. We have so much great stuff here. Try the strawberry juice; it is fantastic. Effie, would you please come up? Effie's going to tell us a little bit about the Trillium Grant Foundation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You did a great job.
I tried.
Good evening, everyone. And I would like to express my gratitude to Wendy and Shane for their kind introduction. I have to tell you, Shane, that I've had friends for 30 years who can't pronounce my name. So the fact that you managed to do it tonight is awesome. I'd also like to extend my thanks to each and every one of you for being here today on opening night of the festival. I'd like to congratulate the Oakville Festivals of Film and Art for this awesome anniversary, 10 years in operation, reaching so many of people in our community. And I want to thank you for everything that you do. So as we are celebrating this important anniversary, I'm thrilled to announce what Wendy was mentioning, which is that a well-deserved grant of $65,400 from the Ontario Trillium Foundation. And it's called the Resilience Communities Fund, and it's exactly what it says. It was instrumental in helping us recover from the challenges posed by the pandemic and to strengthen resiliency for the future. So the funds are already being used to digitally stream events, embracing the power of technology to connect communities, while at the same time entertaining audiences near and far. So I would like to applaud the festival for expanding its reach through technology and thank the Ontario government for supporting our community. Like our Minister of National Defence, Anita Anand, who is really a phenomenal leader in our community, and I'd like to recognize that and to celebrate her. We're also here to recognize National Indigenous Peoples Day. And I'm going to say something just of a serious note, if you'll bear with me for a few minutes. For millennia, the Indigenous peoples of this land have cultivated a vibrant and diverse cultural tapestry. Ontario is home to numerous First Nations, Métis, and Inuit communities, each with their unique traditions, languages, art forms, and spiritual practices. Their rich cultural heritage is intertwined with the very fabric of our province, contributing immeasurably to its identity. However, as we reflect upon the historical journey of Indigenous peoples in Ontario, we must acknowledge the grave mistreatment they have endured. The injustices and systemic barriers they faced have left deep scars on their communities. So it is crucial that we recognize and confront this painful past in order to pave the way for healing, understanding, and reconciliation. So today I'm pleased to share some encouraging news that signifies a significant step forward towards reconciliation and justice. Through respectful and meaningful negotiations, Ontario and our federal government, Canada, and the 21 Robinson Huron First Nations have reached a preliminary agreement with a total settlement of $10 billion. So it's imperative to recognize the importance of the next step in this journey. First Nations are moving ahead with a community engagement process, engaging in consultations with community members and beneficiaries. So together, I believe we can build bridges of understanding, dismantle systemic barriers, and create inclusive opportunities that empower Indigenous people. Let us walk hand in hand on this path towards a more just, equitable, and prosperous society for all. Thank you once again for joining us today, for inviting me to join you on this fantastic evening. I realize I have one more thing to do, and that is to actually present the certificate to Wendy and Shane for the Resilience Fund grant from the Ontario Petroleum Foundation. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so we're really thrilled this evening to cap this off, and we'll get to the Bee Hive momentarily, but we do have an incredible dancer with us from the film The Bee Hive. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, sorry. We have one thing to do and then, okay.
Well, since we're on Wendy and the Oakville Film Festival, we have a gift. This is given, and we'll be sharing our guests and the short film information. See what love does? Gets you all excited, takes you off the path, and to where you're supposed to be going. We had a really tight schedule here today, and we just didn't stick to it. So that's Grandmother Renee for you. But this right here is I wanted to give this now because I think we're going to be moving this along. This is a beautiful drum that's been designed, made with love by Jackie and Oliver, and we'll be telling you a bit more about their project right now, but they wanted to offer this to the Oakville Film Festival because this isn't the only time that you've supported our organization. And it's important. It's important. They've been supporting Indigenous voices for the 10 years that they've been doing this work in our community. And so I'm really grateful, Wendy. It's about relationships. So, and thank you. And you'll get to meet these wonderful people. So I'll take over for a little bit. You go rest. And so what? Yeah, that's why he was supposed to say it. So just before I get to introducing this amazing couple here, I just wanted to just talk a little bit about Grandmother's Voice and the two grandmothers, Renee and Gail, that have been a part of my healing journey for 8 years now. I was searching for my family and ended up, somebody wrote Renee's phone number and name on a piece of paper and gave it to me when I was at the res on Six Nations and said, call this lady, she'll know how to help you. And she had started a genealogy program that now is actually larger, and it's people are coming home. They're returning home, and they've been returning home for decades. And I was one of them, and I represented my great-grandmother. And when I met her and she looked at my census form and said, oh, who are you? And I pointed to my great-grandmother. She pointed to the name 2 above and said, that's my great-grandmother. And they brought us together for a reason. What's that reason? And Grandmother's Voice is that reason. They've been working and supporting our Indigenous community and non-Indigenous community in the Halton region and around. Like, these women have been preserving culture and all over the world internationally for decades. And they're here in our community showing us how to love and how to be, honor each other. And so I'm so grateful for them, because if it wasn't for them, then I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. And I had this opportunity to meet Jackie and Oliver, and they invited me to Cayuga, which is where my ancestry is Cayuga. My great grandmother on my dad's side was Cayuga, And I was driving there. They had said, oh, can you come and check something? We want to invite you to this, this little workshop. And I was driving there. It was a beautiful sunny day. And when I saw the name Cayuga, I was like, oh my God, there's a purpose. There's something beautiful is going to happen. And I got there and they said, oh, just come and, try this project out. And I sat down and I touched it. And it was like this, it was like a movie. I just felt this love and this healing. And then they asked if Grandmother's Voice would support them because they're a grassroots organization. These two people thought of this. There's a bigger collective. They like that I say that. It's not just them. There's more people. But they did manifest this healing for the legacy of residential school because they knew that we needed something to heal the people because we all carry the grief of that legacy. And it's time for us to move forward because Indigenous people have been healing. And so now they have this beautiful story. And I'd like to just take another 10 minutes or so, or they probably won't take that long, because they have a beautiful short film that Jared Stark and Billet Media created for them to help bring awareness to this. So visit their website, hear the story, and I feel no ways about saying donate, support them however you can. They're traditional healers, lovers of the people, and they just want people to heal. So can you come and just tell us about your beautiful project? She's like, hand out the posters. Come and get your poster, take it home, and look it up.
Thank you.
I said, should we do a Q&A? And they're like, no, we'll just tell them about it.
Which will turn into a Q&A.
I know, we'll just give you the tap when it's time.
Sego, Scanna go again. My English name is Jackie, and we're just honored to be here. And this is my partner, Oliver. And so thank you so much for this invitation. And it's so great to just sit amongst our friends, our friends and family, and then to meet new folks as well. Oliver and I have been making drums with folks through workshops for over 23 years now. And a part of that, we've also done some work with the missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. And so in 2019, it was kind of like an idea to bring as many of those drums back together that we could and drum for the missing and murdered Indigenous women. And then Oliver says, well, what if some of those folks coming don't have a drum? And how about we have a workshop for them? And so it just kind of built from there. And it has evolved into what we're calling the 101 Deweguns, A Living Heart's Legacy, this initiative. And although it started with us, it just grew on its own. And then just the ideas just kept coming. Okay? And so our family helped to get things going, and even our community. And so our families sponsored us purchasing the wood to make the frames. And then an organization, the Performing Arts Center, as a matter of fact, in our community, sponsored us to get the hides to eventually make these drums. And so this 101 Deweguns is to help what those messages also were put in here before us coming up here. It's to help that healing. It's to help with that reconciliation amongst our people, amongst all of our circles. And we're all a part of each other's circle. Okay? And so that awareness of our history. And we were talking to some folks earlier that just coming here, and sometimes though, even the Canadian citizens don't know the complete history. And so in 2008, when the Prime Minister made that public apology about the residential schools and the impact it had on our communities, I believe that less than half of the people heard that, because we still meet people who have no idea about the residential schools or the impact that they had, not only on the generations that went, because they operated for like over 150 years, right? But that intergenerational trauma impacts. And so for us, making change within our circles, hoping it's going to be better even for our children and especially our grandchildren. Okay? And we have 15 of them, so we want to make sure they're all in a good place. Okay? And knowing that history, knowing who they are today. And so this project is acknowledging those children that went to those residential schools and died there. And there's a registry of about 6,000 names. Our people believe there's over 10,000 names of those children. And I think probably the majority of people remember and heard when those first 215 were found. Okay? That number always goes back to that 215. And so there's a residence in our community that just has a sign with those numbers on. And so some folks may not even recognize or know what that is, but there's an orange hand there as well. Okay? So subliminally, there's different messages that are coming. And so this project is to bring that awareness to our communities right across the country, okay? Coast to coast to coast. And that's our hope and our drive and our passion is to do that. And so we have these 101 frames that and we're still in the process of completing them at this point in the wood burning. But each of these, and this is number 13 within that series, and there are names wood burned on the inside of this frame. So 13 names are on this frame, and they will be on the other 100 as well. These names are of the children that passed away in those residential schools. And just to help with that awareness, but also to honor each and every one of these. Okay? It's putting something to that name. Okay? It's recognizing that spirit and helping again with that reconciliation amongst all of our different circles. And so this is the stage that we're at now, and we're hoping we will be completed this in the next little bit. And then we're looking at those drums when they're finished are going out to artists. And right now, the majority of the artists are in Ontario and some on the East Coast, but we need a few. We still need artists. And so a friend of ours did this image to just kind of give a sample of what that art might look like, eh? From the image of the artist on what they would look at for reconciliation. Okay? And so recognizing here with our artist, she put on the turtle, which we heard already is our Mother Earth. Eh? The bear representing the medicines. Any of our bear clans, our bear people recognized as medicine people. And then the feather, that winged one, the leader, that watches out over all of us, that eagle. And then the prints that are all around the outside here, the deer prints. And he's the leader amongst all of the creatures. And so we're able to utilize those hides to make these drums to help bring that message through. And so once that goes out to the artists, and hopefully by this fall, they're going to be doing that across the country. And they'll have months to be able to put those images onto those drums. And then they're all going to come back. And in Niagara, we're going to have a feasting, a birthing for all of those drums. And so we need 101 people to help us with that. And then we're going to be looking at drumming for change. Those drums are going to go out again. And hopefully they're going to go out all into these different areas. And we heard some drums here this evening. And so in your community, wherever that might be, if there's drums and one of these drums goes there, that all of those drums will come together and support that drum. Because we heard also how important that is, that we support each other. Well, this medicine needs support as well. And so we're hoping that that's going to happen as well, that all of those other drums, those other families are going to come together and to help that. And so, yeah, I think that's so part of it. Yes, we have. She said, just hand out the postcards, and that would be a lot easier for sure. But we did have some postcards, and I say, Nyawa, thank you to our young people, because wow, like they are in this techie world, like so good. We called on them all the time. And the young woman that helped us with our website, so if you can pick up one of these cards, you can follow us on the website, or there's a little square with little wiggly lines in it. If you take a picture of it, I think, you can go to the website. And so we're also on Instagram and Facebook. And so our hope is that everyone and anyone that's worked on the project, you can go to our website. And if you worked on number 75 frame, you can see who else has worked on that frame. Who else maybe sanded it or wood burned, or who the artist was. And we're going to have a whole story of what the artist's input is with that. And even the strikers that goes with the drum, we'll be having workshops to dress those. And so those also will be a part of this. So checking out our website, and we say Nyawa Chimigwech to our young friend Jess, who compiled this amazing website just with the information that we had and that vision of us that we had. And well, she put it together so good. And so if you're interested and want to follow, you can see perhaps also, and also through Grandmother's Voices website, any workshops that we're doing, any of the information, or even events such as this. So we're just so grateful, and we're going to do anything else? No.
Thank you and good night. One of my teachings is that before you jump in a conversation, you count to 10, just in case whoever was before you wasn't quite finished. So I took a chance. We'd like to invite everybody here to help us out. You're going to see our mugs up on that screen in another couple minutes, I think. So I think we explained it. I think we'll explain it just as well on the screen as we are here. So, but what we didn't do up there, or you know what I mean, we'd like your help with having us do something here right now, and that's to look at all of us being here, gathered here this evening. Many of us have been together before, but this is the first time in history that we've all been here together. Think about that as you look around and just acknowledge one another. And it wasn't, we've done a lot of work with the Crown Attorneys groups across the province in the past. And it kind of made me think about this. It's not all that long ago that we wouldn't be able to gather like we are here tonight, talking about what we're talking about. Not only that, you could rewind and look at what was going on there. And then now look at fast forward to where we are today. And there was still a long road to go, but there's a lot of good change happening. And with this project, we look at it this way. A lot of people ask us to describe what it is. And I guess this kind of sums it up is we're looking at taking all of our collective grieving process and turning it into something beautiful. And that takes more than just one or two people. It takes a family, and it takes you look at truth and reconciliation, and it takes a lot of truth, and a lot of that truth isn't easy to swallow as it gets brought forward, but you have to in order for reconciliation to happen. And that conversation takes all of us, and that's what we're trying to kind of send that message out. That this takes all of us to engage in this conversation. And as one of our elders, Tom Porter, he talks about in the States, it was called the Carlisle Industrial School. And he looked at what their vision was at Ganajohalege, and it was to reverse engineer from what that school, the scars left from that school, period. And that's what we kind of look at this as being, is us all coming together to reverse engineer. And it's like they tell us when you walk into a strange, let's say a forest, and you have to kind of clear your way to make a path to where you want to go. And at some point you're going to turn around and possibly walking back to home where you came from. And it's still that same length of distance, but it's going to be a little bit easier traveling because of the trail that was made. You're reverse engineering your steps. And we don't have to take those same steps as what was taken going, you know what I mean? We can change that. And that's what we're doing now is we're all collectively changing that. And so what we'd like to do now is offer a song to honor all of those little ones that lost their lives at residential schools, and to those who did make it home, but with the legacy of scars and intergenerational trauma that families have been dealing with. And so what we'd ask everybody to do right now is, in your hearts, envision yourself holding on to some tobacco in your left hand, and hold that close to your heart. And as we sing this song, think of something that you're really very grateful for right now today as we sing this song. And it'll be sung in to honor those four directions. So you'll hear it repeated 4 times through. Bindagan Mishomis, Bindagan Okamis, Bindagan Gishimaneto, Way Akweda, Way Ha, Way Ha, Way Ha, Yaho, Way Akweda.
Weha, Yahueda.
Weha, Yahueda. Weha, Yahueda. way ya way da way hi ya ho way ya way da Bind again, Miss Show, Miss. Bind again, oh, come, Miss. Bind again, Geshi Manito. Way, ya, way, da. Way, high, ya, oh, well. Way, ya, way, da. Way high, way da. Way high, way da. Way high, oh, way oh, way da. Way high, oh, way da. Bind again, Miss Show, Miss. Bind again, oh, come, Miss. Bind again, Geshi Manito. Way, da. Way high, oh, well. Way, da.
Way high, ya, way da.
Oh, way high, way da. Way high, oh, way oh, way da. Way high, oh, way oh, way da. Bind again, Miss Show, Miss. Bind again, oh, come, Miss. Bind again, Geshi Manito. Way ya, way da. Way high, oh, way ya, way da. And Janesh Gumiden from Elmer Fudd as well. It's been a lot of talking and singing the last couple of days.
Nyawa, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jackie and Oliver. That was wonderful. As promised, we do have Meadow Kingfisher here from the movie The Bee Hive. Now, Meadow plays this inquisitive, amazing little girl called Rosemary. She's going to do a jingle dance for us. And I have to present her a gift before she does that.
Technical difficulties here. Difficulties are my realm, so here we are. Ready?
That was amazing. Thank you, Meadow. I'm just going to turn things over now to our moderator for the evening, Tyler Collins, who's going to take over for the Q&A for the Bee Hive, and we're going to get all the filmmakers up here so you can ask lots of questions about the film that you're about to see.
Hey, clap.
Of course. No, it's all right. Please don't. Hello. Good evening, ladies, gentlemen, friends, and distinguished guests of all ages. Welcome to the official opening night for the 10th annual Oakville Film Festival. Yes. In the spirit of this evening and for National Indigenous Peoples Day, I feel compelled to say I'm deeply humbled to be among the people speaking this evening because among the chance we have to experience new ideas, new cultures, new perspectives, and new ways to open our hearts and embrace some of the beautiful talent we have from not just here in Oakville, but across the country. I'm deeply grateful that I get to be part of sharing this, not just with you, the wonderful people here in attendance at the 5 Drive-In tonight, but also to all of you at home, both across Oakville, Halton, and all across Canada, to be part of this very special evening with us. So to all of you, thank you for being part of this. I feel exceptionally grateful. We were asked a few minutes ago to imagine we had tobacco in our hands and hold it to our heart and think of something we're deeply grateful for. I've gotten to do this for a few years where I get to be one of the moderators sharing the work of the artists throughout film in Canada, Halton region, but across the world with all of you lovely people. And the fact that I have the opportunity to do this as a reporter, as a host, and as a storyteller in my own way, I feel deeply grateful that I get to share this with you. But you didn't come here to see me. You came here to see the very special screening of the Bee Hive this evening, as well as our wonderful... Yes! Who's excited? We're going to see a movie on that big screen in just a couple of minutes. It's almost time. But before that, I get the wonderful chance to introduce to you several wonderful artists who are going to be sharing their work with us this evening. Now, before we do our Q&A, I want to give a quick shout out. We have 2 of the directors of the short films you're going to be seeing tonight as well. The director of 101 Deweguns, Jared Stark, is here with us this evening. Yes, give him a round of applause. Yeah. As well as the director and animator of P.S. Stop Crying, Michaela Knott, is also joining us tonight here on site. So when it's time for the film, we're going to send you to your cars as soon as our Q&A is done, in which you're going to want to make sure you're tuning your radios into 90.7 FM to make sure you can see both the shorts and our feature presentation tonight. And then... Once the movie gets started, we're going to have a trailer reel showing you some of the other events coming to OFFA this week. We're going to present our 3 short films this evening. And finally, our feature presentation, The Bee Hive, of which we have several of the filmmakers and actors here with us. I now get to introduce. Joining us, and when I call your names, please come to your stage, and then we'll do a big round of applause for all 5 of them. Joining us this evening, we have Alexander Lacheris, who is the director and writer of the film. We have producers Mike Johnson and Aaron Fryer, and then 2 of the actors playing Rosemary, the wonderful Meadow Kingfisher, who you just saw dancing here a few minutes ago, and playing Aaron, Caden Gibson. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the cast and crew of The Bee Hive. Hi, folks.
Get over here.
I'm trying to summon a rune here. Hi, guys. Sorry, I want to make sure we got room for all of you to make sure we can be seen on our stream camera for all of our friends at home. Yes. First of all, I'd like to start with you, Alex. First of all, thank you so much for bringing your wonderful film here to us at the festival. Can you tell us by starting where your concept and idea to write The Bee Hive came from?
Yeah, Meadow, get up here. Yeah, well, no, first off, just thank you so much for having playing us for screening The Bee Hive here, for us to be able to screen it in front of all you people. I hope you guys can hear me okay. And thank you, everybody, every one of you here for coming. And just to echo some of the beautiful words that were said earlier, I couldn't agree more that you were living in a moment of history. Just everyone here, it's just amazing that we all can come together again and watch movies again. jumping into the Bee Hive, and the fact that we're in a drive-in, which is just spectacular. That's just classic to watch. I mean, we're just so excited just to watch our film in a drive-in. The Bee Hive, the question was about inspiration and how it came to be. It was actually, I guess the one snippet of a story that I would say is just growing up on my parents' farm. You're exploring the backyard, you're exploring the forests and everything all the time. And you would just run into all sorts of crazy little critters and things that just didn't make sense as a child, and you would start thinking about other possible alien, I guess, universes, and you probably go down some science fiction-y rabbit holes. Even going to the pond, I remember running into dragonfly exoskeletons. And if you guys have ever seen those, I remember being a kid and just seeing that and just literally thinking that we were being invaded. Like, I was going to go back to the house and tell my parents, this is it. Aliens are here. You can Google exoskeletons of dragonfly and you might just be struck the same way. But yeah.
You mentioned how exciting it is seeing the movie here at a drive-in. Can you talk about the relationship of genre film, of science fiction, creature features, and having them done in a drive-in setting? Is there anything particularly special about that?
Sure, I'll answer that one.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's just I'm wearing a Jaws t-shirt right now. I'm a big fan of monster movies, and I think there's just something about the speciality of the venue that goes along with kind of scary movies, science fiction movies, creature features, like you say. So there's something about it that just feels right. It's a little bit of a different environment. It's not the same sort of movie theater. You're in your own car, that sort of thing. So it just feels unique and special and somewhat, offsetting. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean you're in a unique spot. So
what are some of the unique challenges, but also the benefits of getting to make science fiction at the independent film level?
Ooh. Well, I would say as a producer, I would say first and foremost, it's money. It's always money. And, when I came on board, Alex had a very interesting idea to do the effects practically, which I thought was really interesting, which was really harkening back to the 70s and 80s classic creature features and monster movies. So I was excited about that challenge, but it does present a different challenge because so many things are done digitally nowadays. We decided to go mostly practical on this one. So, you're dealing with a person, an actor versus, something that's been animated. And, we happened to shoot. This was summer of 2021 in British Columbia when temperatures were particularly hot. So, you have a person running around in a suit. It gets hot in there. So we got to keep an eye on them and, things like that. But, I think, I think one of the big creative challenges you learn too is how do you see the creature in unique ways, and how do you avoid seeing the creature in other ways to kind of build that suspense, which I think Alex accomplished quite well.
Now, one of the things all of you lovely people are going to see when we get to the movie shortly is how much of the movie rests on the relationship of Rosemary and Aaron, two of our main characters, and how much that's the crux of the story. Alex, can you talk to us about the casting process and how you found both Caden and Meadow to play these characters in the film?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we hit a gold mine. We did a lot of casting. It was a non-union show, so that made it particularly challenging because you're looking at a kind of different pool of actors, and to find talent, it takes time. So Mike was helping with casting along with my beautiful wife, Aliona, and we struck upon these two, and basically, to be very frank with you guys, we didn't really have a second option. There was just the top, these actors just hit this level, and that was it. So we were just really crossing our fingers that they would say yes and come make the movie with us, because when it all got together, it was kind of one of those I don't know, the stars aligned, because you were in Alberta, and so she came out with her family to BC. We shot it in Langley, in Lower Lower Mainland, which is just an hour drive from Vancouver, on a farm on the same farm that I grew up on. And yeah, maybe you guys want to share about what the casting process was like for you.
Well, one of the things I think we'd love to hear about, what was your experience on the set and actually filming the movie? From reading the script to when you went to shoot, what was that experience like?
I got nothing to say. When I read the script, right away I can just like visualize it in my head and just like running, being scared, running away from a monster, right? But when I went on set, it was slightly bit different what I imagined. But
how is it different?
Well, you're actually on set and you're actually running. I was huffing and puffing. I got to, like, when you're on set, you actually feel that you're running away from something. You're actually in it. Fear, shaking, like wind and going through your lungs. It's totally different.
Now, Meadow, we see a lot of the movie through Rosemary's eyes. What's it like going through the experience of casting and shooting and now to getting to see the premiere starring in a big movie on the big screen?
I was really nervous at first because this was my first feature film. And I was like, I don't know, but yeah, I'm really nervous. I don't know why.
That's okay. I'm nervous too.
But it was really cool seeing it all come to life. And
it's okay.
Okay.
Did you have a favorite day while shooting?
Yeah, I think
I know what it is.
It was the day when I got to pour like this like liquid on him. It was supposed to be like spoiled milk, and I got
Wait, you were spilling this on?
Yeah.
On...
And it was really funny.
I had a shower that day.
What was the experience like for you, Caden?
I got some in my nose.
For Mike, Alex, was there any particular day of shooting that was exceptionally difficult for the two of you, creatively speaking?
Well, I'll let, I'm sure Alex will have his own separate answer, but I think the days where we had the creature were particularly challenging. Just again, we were shooting, they were hot days. We were a small independent film, so we don't have as big of a team as others do. And in fact, I remember one particular experience where we were shooting with the creature, and I had to hold a rope to keep it from tipping over because it was very front heavy. So I was like leaning down, like horizontal backwards, like holding this rope, trying to stay out of frame of the camera. And then it started raining. And I thought to myself, this is exactly what they meant when they said become a film producer. This is exactly what they meant. But I think any of those days were particularly challenging because it presented a new element that a lot of us just weren't familiar with, and a new challenge we kind of had to overcome in that sense. But I think the results paid off.
Just speaking physically, there was a day we were shooting in the barn, and as Mike was mentioning, it was so hot this summer, and then we were up in the barn, and we just had to be careful because it was just, it was too stuffy and too hot, and plus you had masks, plus you had COVID going on, and all that stuff. Creatively speaking, I think just some of the scenes with you guys, like the scene, I think trying to pull out the best performance from these two. There was a couple, like the scene when you guys jump up on the steps. Don't spoil it. Yeah, without spoiling anything. But there was a couple of scenes, just the emotionally charged scenes. So basically working with the actors and trying to tap into their, what's interesting about working with actors is everybody has a different frequency. Every actor has a different frequency of what works for them. So finding that frequency of connecting with them so that they can do the best performance. Did you want to add
Hi, one of the producers here. Just a special shout out. I mean, one of the reasons we were able to actually accomplish this film, this is my second film with Alex, is that we were able to film on his property. And it's been a special day. Alex's parents are actually here as well. And thank you very much for just letting us film and make this movie on your property as well. Couldn't have done it without you. And it's a total family affair. I mean, Meadow mentioned her family was out there. I think her entire family's in the movie. My entire family's in the movie. There's a lot of just family. That's how the whole. Yeah, look out for the barbecue scene. Most of those are our relatives, actually. That's ours.
So the good news is the sun has gone down, meaning it is very nearly showtime, and we're going to be starting with the movies soon. However, we do have just a couple minutes left. If any of you fine lovely people have any questions you'd like to ask our cast and creative team, just throw up your hand and we'll call on you, and we'll say the question again here so everybody can hear. Yes, hello. This is a question for Mike, the producer. How come his mother was not invited to be in the aforementioned barbecue scene?
Because, Mom, we shot in Vancouver. Yeah, well, now we know. Next barbecue scene will fly out. Like I said, budget was tight, so you know.
Be in the sequel.
The sequel. Arun says you can be in the sequel. So yeah.
Yes, hello.
Well, I don't handle scary movies very well. I have a question for Meadow. Am I going to be able to sleep tonight? Am I going to have nightmares? And also, after you guys finish there, will you come over here? You can whisper the ending to me so that I won't really be so scared.
I think you'll be able to sleep. Yeah.
She's lying.
Without spoiling anything, you guys are in for a treat tonight. Sorry.
It's more of a thriller. It's thrilling.
Question? Hi, hello.
Where did the name Bee Hive come from?
Where does the name the Bee Hive come from?
Great question.
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, you'll. I just want to say, when you watch it, you'll sort of figure it out. But the young girl in the story, she's. I mean, you'll figure this out. She's naming. She finds a wasp nest and she calls it the beehive. She thinks it's a beehive, but it's a wasp nest. And so then when she goes and finds another nest in the back of the forest, she calls it the beehive. Yeah.
Sorry, one sec. The original title of the movie was actually the letter B. That's what it was for many, many years. B in quotations. But then we realized if you Google B movie, you would never ever find it. So we quickly adjusted.
Right here.
I just want to add though, if you think about the film, there's a lot of layers of subtext. There is layers about of subtext about our species, how we treat the planet. You can look out for that if you're listening to the radio. Oh, one thing that we really want to remind you is please turn up the volume. It's really difficult. This is going to be such a weird experience because we've screened it in a couple states in the US, and you have audience reaction, but I have no idea what you guys are thinking in your cars and what you're saying and all those things. But so it's going to be a totally different experience. But please, play it loud to hear it and to experience it.
I have a question. Is the story in any way representative or related to the colonialism, the invasion of Europeans?
Yeah. Again, this is a very strange format for us because we're doing a Q&A before you guys have watched the movie, right? So I would love to hear your thoughts about that after you watched it, and probably you guys will all drive off and talk about it amongst yourselves, and I'll never know.
You can find us at the Beehive Movie. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Send us a message. We're the Beehive Movie at Gmail. We're happy to hear from you.
That's the producers. But yeah, no, just to that point, definitely there are layers of subtext, and I would love to hear those interpretations, but they do exist.
With that, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to conclude our Q&A for this evening. Please give a warm round of applause thanking the cast and crew of the Bee Hive. All right, that also concludes all of our opening festivals right here in front of the plaza here at the 5 Drive-In. So in just a minute, it will be time for all of you to go to your cars because it's movie time. Just a few friendly reminders. Make sure to tune your cars to 90.7 FM to make sure you can hear the movies and to turn off your headlights so you are not ruining the screen viewing experience for any of the cars around you. If you require assistance, there are attendants working here for the theater. You can just put up a hand outside your window or stand outside your car and someone should come to you. Just a reminder as well, this is our first night. It's very exciting, the opening night here for OFFA, but it's not the only night. In fact, we have special events going on at cinemas and screening rooms all over Oakville for the rest of this week. We have special events at the Oakville Center for the next 2 days, as well as many screenings at the Film.ca cinemas this Saturday and Sunday. And we'll have live Q&As taking place both in person and digitally for many of these events to come. And don't worry, those ones will be after the movie, so we can spoil what goes on and we can talk about what happens in there. In the meantime, we hope you enjoy this evening's feature presentation of the Bee Hive. My name is Tyler Collins. I'm one of the co-hosts. You can read us and all of our arts coverage here locally on Oakville News and oakvillenews.org for free every day. Thanks again to all of our sponsors of this evening's event, all of our special guests, and please enjoy the opening of OFFA 2023. Oh, you're welcome. Thanks, guys. Thank you so much.
OFFA is celebrating 10 years, and it kind of crept up on me, to be honest, because it's gone really fast. And it's just been amazing that we got to this point. I'm like, oh my God, 10 years?
"13 years ago, 12 years ago, I moved here from the UK and moved to a sleepy town called Oakville. And sitting in the town square one night, around 9:30 at night, realizing that it was very quiet.
You know, going back to the earliest days, when Judah Hernandez and I were sitting at a soccer game, I just finished my master's in cinema and media studies. And I was talking to Judah and I said, I've always wanted to start a film festival, and I went back to do my master's so I could do that. And he just looked at me and said, oh my God, I want to do that too.
She couldn't believe her ears because she was just thinking the same thing. Two very different people from two very different worlds connected like magnets.
We just did it. It's part of that entrepreneurial spirit to doing something like this, but it also goes back to just a love of film.
Film for me is a way to take an idea and turn it into something tangible. It's the way that we connect with other human beings.
For a not-for-profit, you have to be invested in what you're doing. And I think this festival is so much about the community. It's so much about the people that are on the board. It's so much about the volunteers. And we couldn't do the festival without all that sweat equity.
Let me tell you, those early days were fun, but chaos. It was just trying to figure out how this could work. But in order to do that, you need money, you need support, you need funding.
There's two sponsors that come to mind. The first one is Christopher and Vidyata, who back in the earliest years of the festival, very first year, came on board as our only sponsor and believed in the event and the potential, of the festival and the community. The second sponsor who's so integral to the festival is Peter Wilson. Peter Wilson came on board as a title sponsor. It was Peter Wilson's participation as a sponsor that helped us to build the festival to what it is today.
I can't say enough about the community support. There were so many local sponsors, small level sponsors, in-kind sponsors, people who volunteered just to bring this thing to life that I cannot say enough about. My vision was always to bring people together, not just for the Oakville community, but bring people from everywhere else to the Oakville community. It is a beautiful place. It is charming, it's warm, and it's unique. And film was the vehicle to allow that to happen.
Film happens in theaters, and theaters to me are where film should be watched. In theaters with an audience, because it's that communal experience, to me, that's so important about film.
I hope that we continue to bring people together, open their world, and allow them to see the magic